and think about how this kind of structured quest changes how you might engage with music. It really shifts you from just, passive enjoyment into active assessment, critical thinking almost. And that's where you get those aha moments, right? About albums you've heard a million times. Suddenly you notice a harmony or appreciate a bass line or understand how a track fits the bigger picture in a new way. It helps cut through the noise too. Information overload is real. This gives you a specific lens, a framework to examine and compare albums. It definitely sharpens your ear, makes you think about your criteria for what makes an album great.
Absolutely. And speaking of great, let's get to Group 116, the Revolver-lution #9 quest. The lineup for this group is just, wow, you almost couldn't script it better if you tried. It featured 4 massive albums, and here's the kicker. They are all by the Beatles. Yeah. We're talking Revolver, the White Album, Rubber Soul, and the Beatles, just an unbelievable group, a total Beatles overload in the best possible way. And Green Straw-X's immediate reaction, you could really feel the weight of it. They wrote something like, wow, I know this might sound like total arse kissing. Maybe we'll clean that up slightly. But these 4 Beatles albums are just as good, maybe even better than the previous ones I've listened to.
High praise indeed.
It really is. They continued. The sheer volume of material and the strength of it is simply outstanding. You just feel the awe there.
And there's another interesting point. Green Straw-X brought up the sheer amount of music. Even though lots of Beatles songs are famously short, under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
These 4 albums together, that's like 3.2 hours of music, which raises this fascinating question for a quest like this, doesn't it? Does that kind of quantity, combined with such high quality, all from one artist, does that set them apart? It points to this incredible consistency, this evolution across their work. It makes comparing them really tough, but also really rewarding. You start seeing those subtle differences.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Green Straw-X's thought process, the final rankings for Group 116. This is where it gets really interesting, where taste meets, trying to be objective within this system. So starting at the bottom. In 4th place, Green Straw-X put Rubber Soul. The reasoning given was simply that it isn't quite as formidable as the others. Now, let's be clear. Rubber Soul for almost any other band would be near the top. So putting it 4th here just shows how stacked this group was.
Exactly. And this is where the quest format really shines, I think. It forces these kinds of really nuanced calls. I mean, critically, Rubber Soul is huge, right? That shift to folk rock, more introspective lyrics, it was a massive step in their maturity.
That's it.
But Green Straw-X felt it was less formidable. Maybe in that direct comparison, the raw power of the White Album or the sort of revolutionary sound of Revolver just landed harder. It's not saying Rubber Soul is bad, not at all, but maybe its brilliance is more subtle. Or the overall mood didn't jump out as much against the others in that specific listening session. Makes you think, what qualities do you prioritize when you're forced to compare?
That's a really good question. Okay, moving up. The undisputed champion of Group 116, for Green Straw-X, the #1, the clear winner, was the White Album. The verdict, it just rocks and sounds amazing. Pretty straightforward.
Seems like it. And when an album rocks and sounds amazing enough to top a group like this in a quest, what does that usually mean? Often it's about the overall sonic impact, the dynamics, your experience of listening to it. And the White Album, well, it's a double album. It's all over the place stylistically, isn't it? You've got hard rock, folk, weird experimental stuff, acoustic ballads. It's sprawling, raw. That sheer variety and maybe that kind of unfiltered, adventurous sound, that could be what pushed it over the top. It refuses to be just one thing. For some people, that makes it incredibly compelling in a head-to-head. Does that kind of scope appeal more to you when you're comparing albums?
Interesting point. Okay, now for the real nail-biter. The one Green Straw-X clearly agonized over. The battle for 2nd place, which also meant advancing in the quest. It was between Revolver and With the Beatles. 2 very different but equally brilliant albums in their own ways. Green Straw-X gave With the Beatles serious props. Mentioned the brilliant rollover Beethoven, the soothing "you really got a hold on me," and specifically called out a much improved version of Money. That's what I want. Strong points, foundational stuff. Absolutely. But ultimately, Revolver just pips it to 2nd place. And the list of reasons the tracks cited from Revolver, it's just staggering. The skating opener Taxman, the haunting Eleanor Rigby, the melodic I'm Only Sleeping, straight out cool rock vibe of She Said, She Said. And Green Straw-X even added a little aside there. which I think was covered by Lone Star, hey?
Yeah, maybe.
And then on and on to the catchy "Gotta Get You Into My Life." A final thought on Revolver was just such legendary music. All hail Lennon and McCartney.
You can really see the detailed thinking there, can't you? It wasn't just a whim. It was track-by-track appreciation. But stepping back, this feels like more than just comparing songs. It's like comparing eras, almost.
Mm-hmm.
With the Beatles as them perfecting that early high-energy Mersey beat sound, doing amazing covers. It's pure rock and roll energy.
Yeah.
Foundational. Revolver, though, that's the great leap forward, isn't it?
You know.
Into psychedelia, studio tricks, complex songs, groundbreaking production. Revolutionary.
Totally different beasts.
So the question this quest forces you to ask is, when you put those two head-to-head, what do you value more in that moment? The groundbreaking innovation, or the perfected execution of an earlier but still brilliant style?
That's such a key point. It really sounds like Green Strokes was wrestling with comparing apples and oranges almost. Different intentions, different stages of the band's life. I mean, is it even really fair to put an early rocker like with the Beatles up against a studio masterpiece like Revolver in this kind of format?
Well, fair is maybe the wrong word.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what makes this quest approach so revealing. It forces those seemingly unfair comparisons. It makes you confront your own preferences. Critics might neatly divide a band's career into periods, right? Early, middle, late. This method just throws them all in the ring together. And it doesn't mean the earlier work is less valuable. But it does show which artistic choices, which sound, resonated more strongly with Green Strokes right then in that direct comparison. It seems to reveal a preference, maybe, for the innovation and studio depth of Revolver without taking anything away from the sheer joy of With the Beatles. It brings personal criteria right to the surface.
Okay, got it. So let's quickly recap the final standings for this monster group 116. Coming in at number 1, the clear winner, the White Album. Snagging second place and advancing in the quest, Revolver, in a very, very strong third place with the Beatles. And rounding out this all-Beatles group in fourth, Rubber Soul. So, the White Album and a Revolver move on. What a result.
It really is. And this whole exercise of the Green Strokes, it's just a brilliant illustration of how you can engage with music more deeply, more analytically. It pushes beyond just, I like this. It forces you towards articulating why, comparison, critical thinking. And what we learn isn't just about Green Strokes' taste. It hints at the kinds of metrics we all use, maybe unconsciously, when we judge music, like preferring the wild diversity of the White Album or the bold steps of Revolver over the maybe more cohesive but foundational excellence of the other two. That suggests valuing evolution and experimentation, perhaps. Going through this kind of process really helps you develop a more informed ear. You start understanding the music, its context, its impact in a much richer way.
Exactly.